Good day to you, and welcome to Adssure's Explainer, Completing a Claim Form. This short explainer is just about the actual completion of the claim form, not putting together the whole claim. I thought I'd use one example as the completion of a claim form, or whether it's a form itself that you're filling in, or something that you're doing on an app, or even something that you're doing on voicemail. Maybe you're doing it through a call center. The same principles apply. And it's very, very important to get this part right. We often find that a portfolio manager or somebody else or a third party is actually completing the claim form and is a little bit of arm's length away from the actual action, and sometimes things go wrong. And when they go wrong, simple things that can go wrong on a claim form can actually throw the whole claim out. The claim can either be rejected, or otherwise it can cause unnecessary delays and poor service. The portfolio manager and the broker can look really bad just because somebody didn't fill in a claim form properly. Okay, so without further ado. Okay, so when you're completing a claim form or completing a claim, you're putting it together to send into the insurer or the insurance broker, put yourself in the position as the person that's reading the claim form. You must remember that a claim form is a legal document. It's the other end of the contract of insurance. So the insured, which is the body corporate or the HIA or the share block, is now wanting the policy wording or the policy contract to perform in terms of its obligation. And it's triggered by the claim form. And if something goes wrong with the claim legally and it lands up in court, you don't want to find that you've completed it incorrectly or, without dotting the I's and crossing the T's. Okay, so firstly, putting yourself in the position of the person reading the form and understanding that this is a legal document and should be filled in, bearing in mind that it could land up in court effectively. Okay, so you need to understand the other person, the person reading the form. They want to understand what actually happened and when it actually happened, exactly when it happened. 10 o'clock on Monday, the 25th of December, or whatever the case might be. Where exactly did it happen? Did it happen generally at that street address? Did it happen specifically at section number 7 or door number 7 of that body corporate? Did it happen on the common property? Did the roof of building 7 get affected? Or the boundary wall on the south end of the property? Be descriptive of where it happened. What are the actual damages? I mean, the person on the other side doesn't want to hear that it just rained or something. They want to actually know what the actual damages are. Did the wall come down? Has the wall got a crack in it? Has the roof got a crack in it? Are they just cracked tiles? Is the roof badly damaged? What is exactly the damage? Is the ceiling just damp, or does the ceiling need to be replaced? Whatever the damages are. And then the estimated cost to put it right. It's no good sending in a claim and just saying, yeah, we've got broken roof tiles. You need to actually quantify of what you're claiming for. After all, you're claiming money. You're claiming an amount. We call it the quantum of the claim. You need to know what you're claiming for. The insurance company's obligation is to actually put the body corporate or the HIA or the insured back they were financially. They aren't on an obligation to repair. They're on an obligation to financially remedy the situation. The insurer has the right to do the repair. That's part of the contract. But ultimately, their obligation is to financially reinstate the body corporate or the HIA or the individual owner. So what caused the damage? That's probably the most important question, because it could be damage, but it might not have been caused by the actual event. It might not be an insurance event. If a roof is not being maintained, and right through the winter, the dry season in Johannesburg, or through summer period, the dry summer season in Cape Town, and suddenly the first rains come along and the roof leaks, was it the storm that caused the damage? Or was it, in fact, poor workmanship, lack of maintenance that actually caused the damage? Okay. If it's lack of maintenance and poor workmanship, well, you can be sure that it's not an insurance claim. But if the storm the hail cracked the tiles, the wind lifted and shifted the tiles, causing water to come inside. Um, lightning struck the coping on top of the tiles and caused them to be shattered. I've seen that. Looks quite interesting after that happens, but these things do happen, and there must be specific storm damage in order for it to be a claim in that instance. And then who to contact. Verify, assess, and repair. You can send a claim form in, and now a loss adjuster wants to go out. Who do they contact? If you haven't put it on the claim form, nobody can react, and it can cause a delay, and then somebody's got to email the broker, and then the broker's got to email the managing agent, and then the managing agent's got to try and find out who the contact person should be. And that can be a few days delay for nothing. Okay, so collate the information first. Obviously, get the quotations for the repair. I always say get the quotations as soon as possible, with a report from the contractor. Can be on the quotation itself, or it can be a separate sheet of paper or comprehensive report. I see some very, very good reports. I see some very poor reports, but generally I see some pretty good reports if your portfolio manager is using a good contractor. Witness report, if somebody saw it happen, and when it happened, that's important. I'll show you just now why and when is so important. Photographs and video clips of the incident, if you have it, photographs of the damage. There's a saying, a picture tells 1,000 words. We've all heard that one, and it really does in insurance. The photographs are pretty important, and it's really almost par for the course to have a camera or a phone ready when anything goes wrong. Any other information or proof, let's say the roof was in a good state of repair before the storm, is also always helpful. Any other information you can add to help the insurance company justify paying the claim. Person on the other end, believe it or not, is not actually looking for reasons not to pay the claim. They want to justify paying the claim. And if you don't help them, then they can't do that. Okay, so here's an example of a good invoice. Just very, very quickly, you can see that it's a quotation. I've just blocked out some of the names and stuff. This is a report for the roof. There was damage to the roof. And he says here the roof valley is blocked by debris, tree leaves. It was blocked caused by the under tile flashing that shifted out of position. Numerous roof tiles have shifted out of position, allowing for water ingress when rainwater overflows under the flashing. And they found 2 broken roof tiles. All evidence points to damage caused by strong wind and rainstorms, which caused the shift. Okay. The scope of work, that's very good, because then the insurance company can see whether the 2,817 is fair for the amount of work that he's going to do. So we need to know what the actual damage is, and we need to know the cause. So this report deals with both. And then you've got it. Then you can actually take that information and put it into the claim form, even though you're attaching this. Okay, so let's look at the claim form. Look, it sounds really crazy to be showing you this, but believe me, I saw a claim form the other day that almost every item was wrong. Almost every item. And it's actually causing undue delays. Okay, and in fact, it might not actually end up being a claim. And all of this unnecessary work when we didn't do it properly in the first place. So first of all, naming the insured, in other words, the body corporate. If it's Lighthouse Body Corporate, write the word body corporate there if you can, because sometimes there might be a Lighthouse HOA around the corner. Let's identify the correct property. It's very often there are very many bodies corporate with the same names. There's quite a few Ocean Views. There's quite a few Fairviews, Ocean View, Mountain View, Villa this, Villa that, and so many villas of the same name. Some are HIA, some are bodies corporate, and you can easily mix them up. Okay, so use the correct name of the person, the body corporate, and name it, whether it's a body corporate or share block. Of course, name the insurance company and policy number. Very easy to get this wrong. I saw one the other day where CIA was written instead of CIB. And of course, the claim form was sent off to the wrong insurance company. That wasted a day. Okay, so, just get the basics right. The unit section number where the loss or damage occurred, or the address where the loss or damage occurred. So put the address. The policy actually has the risk address stated, so the insurance company will check that the risk address and the address here correlate. That's one of their jobs. They should be doing that. But state the section number and or the area of common property where this occurred, so the loss adjuster can go and find it quite easily. It could be a huge complex, and he's got to drive around the complex for half an hour just looking for the damaged building. Okay. State time and loss of damage. Okay, and I'm going to get to that just now. It's going to be an interesting one. But first of all, were premises occupied and by whom? It sounds like a crazy question, but knowing whether the premises are occupied and by whom is pretty important, because there might be unoccupied premises for 3 months, 6 months at a time, brings in another clause in the policy. It could be restrictive in terms of the insurance cover, and it could be a slightly higher excess in the case of an occupied premises. And then who's occupying it? Is it a tenant? Is it an owner? Or is it, heaven forbid, an illegal occupant? Okay. Contact details of the person who a loss adjuster would need to contact to come and look at the damage. That's usually the person's contact details. By all means, put the trustee and the owner and the tenant's details, but the main contact is what we're looking for. Date and time of loss, and when was the loss discovered? Those are the 2 points that I wanted to really spend some time on. So one of the biggest mistakes I see happen often, recently I've seen 2 claims nearly get kicked out. One was quite substantial. In fact, both of them were 30,000 Rand in each case. One was 60,000, the other one around 30. And, you've got to be very careful, because if you get the time and loss of the damage, especially if it's storm or lightning related, the insurance company are going to look at the date and the time and say, but hang on, there was no lightning on that day, because they're going to check. And they're going to check whether it was stormy weather in that day. So don't just guess. It's a bad habit, and I see it happens a lot. There's damage. The portfolio managers maybe only being advised a week later. He asks the trustee, or she asks the trustee, when did this happen? They say, I think it was last Wednesday. A quick guess, and that guess could cost the body corporate a lot of money. I saw one for in excess of 200,000. The insurance company rejected a lightning claim because they guessed the date. We were able to remedy that, fortunately, because the occurrence book in the guardhouse remedied that, but it just shows you how important the date and time of loss is. And then when it was discovered, that sounds strange. I mean, usually it's discovered straight away. But what happens if the person's away on holiday? There was a storm on a certain date, and the person comes back a month later after their overseas trip to find damage to their section. But you are aware that there was roof damage, but now the section owner comes back, and you can link the two. Okay, so just to give you an idea of why the date and time is so important, look on the 10th of November here. This is the weather maps, the lightning strike maps, actually, that the insurers check, or the loss adjusters check. You can see on the 10th of November, if you put in a lightning claim, they would have laughed at you, because there was no lightning in Gauteng on that day. I'm talking about Gauteng. But look, on the 25th of November, there was a hang of a lot of lightning. So a lightning strike on the lightning claim on the 25th of November would be very justified. And likewise, a storm damages claim. Don't try and guess a storm damages claim. What time did it happen? In this case, if the storm was at, around about 6 o'clock in the evening, bear in mind that it was only a little bit of rain, actually, but a lot of lightning. Maybe in that part of Gauteng, there was a downpour of hail. But, at least get the day right, because if you get a sunny, with all sun showing here, and you're claiming for water damage, the insurance company are just going to reject it and say, you're talking rubbish. Okay, which in fact you are, even if your intentions were honorable and you just got the date wrong and there was really a storm. But getting the date wrong means it's actually there wasn't a storm on that day, and that makes that null and void. Okay, so, get those things right, the basics, all of those little basics. Okay, now the important part, description of damage. So these 2 sections of the claim form are very often done incorrectly. And I don't understand why, because I think the questions are pretty clear. Detailed description of damage to property So, I'm actually stating it here. Detailed description of damage to property or of injury to third parties or damage to third party. So just, if it confuses you, all of that stuff, detailed description of damage to property. So that's all you need to do. Describe the damage, but add the amount of cost of damage. So we've got an idea. Laminate flooring, it was lifting and damaged. About 4 square meters by 4 meters by 4 meters, and you've got 20,000 Rand estimated damage there. Ceiling, about 8,000 Rand. And, so we reckon 30,000 Rand is the cost of this claim. See some photographs and some quotations attached. That's what you need to put in there. You need to say what happened. I see so many people just fill this in. They say storm or they say rain. I mean, that's a claim rejection, because then effectively there's no damage. You're not claiming any damage. Claim for the damage that is there. And if it's too much damage, if there's a whole list of damage on various quotations, right, see attached, see addendum A attached. You can do an addendum A with all of the damages listed, with all of the amounts. Okay, here on the claim form, luckily there were only 3 items. That was the roof in 3 different areas, and the total cost is 29,000, but different to this. And see invoices and damage report attached. Okay, then more importantly is what caused the loss. It's no good just saying that there was damaged roof. You've got to say what caused it. It was a severe storm. That's the cause. It's got a link to a policy event, something that you're insured for. That's why they're asking the question. Okay, severe storm, heavy rain, hail and wind, which lifted tiles and damaged coping. Or bath overflowed and water flooded into the bedroom and passage area. What caused the loss? That's answering the question. Again, don't just put rain or storm, just say what really happened. Be a little bit more descriptive. Fire in the kitchen caused by a pan on the stove catching alight. Sudden appearance of water from ceiling pouring down the wall from the cornice. Washing machine coupling from upstairs apartment caused a flood upstairs. Those are all insured events. Each one of these so described would be claimable. Okay, but put it in. Okay, then we go further. Loss or damage due to impact, vehicle. So a vehicle hits the gate or hits a wall. It's an accidental damage claim. So you will need to get third-party details about that person. And of course, also, you need to make a police report. Usually a trustee, a resident trustee, or somebody who witnessed it, or even the security guard. It's unfair to send the portfolio manager who's office bound, who didn't know anything, who wasn't there, to go and fill in this. They can do it, obviously, if they've got the information. But normally a trustee would go down to the local police station and go and get this accident. I know it's a nuisance, and everybody argues about who should do it. I always suggest that a resident trustee or a witness, owner witness, or even the security guard goes down with you who saw it. Have you previously suffered a loss? That sounds like a strange question, but it's a standard claim question, because there could be questions about whether that particular loss was in fact repaired properly last time. So, but in the case of a body corporate and HRA, the policies that we work with, even though the question is there, you can just actually state per claims history. Very comfortable just to say per claims history, as I've done there. Okay, then the bank details. I know that rules and regulations are recommending that the maintenance fund gets used, but you know what? It's open to fraud. I've made this case to CSOS, and I've made it to attorneys and social media, and also on various forums, that we do strongly recommend that claims get paid always to the body corporate or the HRA's premium paying account. All those details are firmly in the insurer's computer, and you want the money to get paid, to the account where the premium was coming from. Pay the money there, and then it's done and safe, and there's no risk. Cyber fraud is huge, and it's very prevalent in claims when you start fiddling with account numbers and changing instructions of who should get paid. Rather don't. And the sign of the times. I think those rules and regulations to pay it into the reserve fund was a good idea 10 years ago, but it's certainly not a good idea now. Okay. Right. And then lastly, signing of a claim form is pretty important, especially in a body corporate environment, HRAs as well. Remember, this form could land up in court, could very easily land up at the ombud, could be either one of the ombuds. It could even be the phase ombud. It would likely be the short-term insurance ombud, OSTI, or it could end up even being the CSOS. Okay, community scheme ombud. Okay, in which case, you want to make sure that the form is correct. You know that legal documents are kicked out by courts if they're not signed, or contracts are not signed. You know, if they're just blank or signed by one party only, that document gets kicked out. You don't want your document kicked out. Rather make sure that it's signed properly. The section owner is really the witness, even though they are insured for their respective rights and interest in the policy. They're not usually named in a sectional title or a HRA policy at all. So you're really putting the section owner's name there or signature to what they're stating, more as a witness. I say that the trustees are not approving a form per se. They're actually attesting to it. So they're signing off on their owner's claim. And they're attesting to the fact that it's legal and binding because now two trustees are going to sign in terms of prescribed management rule 10, or one trustee and the managing agent. We're not too fussed about geezer claims. You know, we let owners sign those and put those in because geezers are ultimately an owner's responsibility anyway. And small claims, you know, if a managing agent, we're assuming that the mandates are in place, that the managing agents in terms of their contracts can sign off on claim forms. But if you've got an iffy claim and you know it's going to be difficult and there could be litigation and arguments are already starting to fester, you know, get it signed properly. You know, you don't want to find this thing going wrong. Okay. And then lastly, very lastly, and finally lastly, is, you know, our booklet. You know, if you go to our website, www.addsure.co.za, you could download our booklet and then give you a hang of a lot more information about how to, how to deal with a claim, what is a claim and what isn't a claim. Okay, I hope you found this helpful, and I hope you from now on complete claim forms with a little bit more care and neatly, please do them neatly.